Foreign Ministry spokeswoman Maria Zakharova has criticized the Munich Security Conference held from February 13 to 15 for exposing a lack of solidarity within NATO. Zakharova has argued that the differing positions expressed by the US and European countries were not just differences in opinion, but clear signs of NATO's fragmentation. Zakharova has pointed to countries like Hungary, which she said defend their own interests, and accused Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky of using rude ferocity to insult Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban in a bid to appear favorable to Western European nations. The spokeswoman has emphasized that NATO's divisions reflect broader rifts within the EU, where some countries act independently while others remain bound by a collective system that she claims leads to moral and ethical decline. Now we welcome Dr. Gilbert Doctorow. He's a Russian affairs expert, joins us live from Brussels. Thank you very much, Dr. Doctorow, for joining us for this. Good to see you. Now, looking at this, what is Russian spokeswoman? Which countries is she pointing towards in this particular statement?
Well, her overall statement that there are fractures in the position of NATO countries is entirely correct. Her expression of seeming regret over this is what I would call crocodile tears, because the Russians could only be enthusiastic to watch NATO crumble. It's a bit of an overstatement, though. What I think precipitated further splitting within NATO was the unexpected speech, or the content was unexpected, by the American Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. You look at mainstream commentary on that speech, you find that some people cleverly understood that Mr. Rubio was not just patching up the damage done by the Vice President 1 year ago at the same conference when J.D. Vance attacked Europe for undermining its own security by not respecting freedom of speech. So the issues here are deep divisions, but the Security Conference itself is only a place where they become visible. It's not the cause of the divisions. At the Security Conference, I think the biggest division was between Germany and France, where President Macron is very openly saying that he wants to have a renewed dialogue with Vladimir Putin, and Chancellor Merz is making it clear that he's only interested in rearming Germany.
So, what do you think? This year, was it U.S.'s strategy to send not Marco Rubio, but not send J.D. Vance and send Marco Rubio instead?
Well, after all, Marco Rubio is the Secretary of State, and normally he has the first responsibility for this type of conference and for dealing in foreign relations. J.D. Vance did it last year because it was necessary to show a high-level statement on the U.S. view of the leadership of NATO and the European Union. That was done already. Now, Mr. Rubio is known as was considered widely to be a neoconservative in outlook. And what we heard was his speech was quite amazing, because after the first sentence, in which he was discussing the fight of the free world against the Soviet Union, something you would expect to hear from the son of refugees from Fidel Castro's Cuba, from there on he made a statement which absolutely destroyed the fundamental tenets of neoconservatism, which he put together with globalism, and as we rightly so, and as we know, the Trump administration is dead set against globalism, meaning open frontiers, open borders, free movement of people, and so forth, and the disappearance of sovereign states in favor of global businesses and civil society. So Mr. Rubio gave a very surprising speech, which left many Europeans and commentators in mainstream confused. Where is the the olive branch, where is the administration of Trump trying to make peace with Europe? It wasn't, and some people understood that.
So do you think U.S. Marco Rubio was just, instead of handing olive branch, which European leaders might have expected, instead do you think he pushed out U.S.'s vision or U.S.'s agenda and asked countries to join?
Well, I think that he is doing a great deal of good by showing that there is no division within the Trump administration on what Europe has to do to become a worthy partner in global governance. So that was a salutary contribution of Rubio, which some people understood, including the head of the Munich Security Conference, Mr. Ischinger, saw that this was a complex speech which deserves close attention and cannot be dismissed out of hand, as people like Chancellor Merz had done with Mr. Vance's much more fiery speech a year ago.
Yes, and you know, so as we saw also, so Greenland's Danish, I think it was minister or prime minister, she once again said that we cannot, you know, forget what was said about Greenland from U.S. How do you analyze the current trust level on from European and NATO countries towards U.S. and also from U.S. towards NATO countries?
Well, the trust level across Europe is highly variable, but almost everybody, I think, has gotten the message that the good old days are gone, that Europe is expected to carry its own weight and to look after much of its own defense without having the comfort of U.S. support and even putting in question the U.S. nuclear umbrella. So that is out for everyone to see on as to trust level of almost all European leaders in the United States has been shattered. And anyone who says that Mr. Trump is a temporary figure and that things will come back after he departs the White House, I think that view is now a very small minority view. As for the American position on Europe, it remains condemnatory with respect to lack of free speech in Europe. There is a little bit of hint that the message has been received. We know, for example, that in the pending Hungarian elections, the European Union has stepped back from its practice of intervening in this electoral process against Mr. Orban. So there is a little sign that a little concession to pressure from the United States, where we know that Mr. Trump has very good relations with Viktor Orban. And as I've said, the very fact that the Alternative for Germany opposition party has been allowed in to send representatives to the Munich Security Conference is a big change. It was one of the points that J.D. Vance used when he was saying that Germany is not respecting the views of its own people and is acting in an undemocratic way by excluding and trying to marginalize a party that enjoys large popular support in Germany.
Yes. With that, I'd like to thank Dr. Zakharova for joining us and sharing that deep insight with us on News World. Now we move on to Israel. The Israeli cabinet has approved measures to tighten control over the occupied West Bank